Okay, so again, another very open-ended question, but it's a question that appears a lot in searches online. But how much does a Nobilia kitchen cost?
So we have a display in our Ponsford showroom that we've actually gone through this scenario already, and the display is sat there in Targa steel in Shuller, and we've priced it up. We've got it all on the system, all drawn up, done, and that works out at there or thereabouts £20,000. But what we wanted to do is, for our way, when we can communicate with customers, to give them some lead in, because you need to know budgets out of people, which way are we going to push you. We need to know a budget so that we can steer them into the right brand for them. And it's amazing. Sometimes you get a small kitchen, someone says, I've got £35,000 to spend. Or they get a big kitchen and say, I've got £7,000 to spend. So you need to open that budget scenario up. Now, with that displays in at £20,000. We then went and changed that display into what the nearest thing is, without going expensive, would be in Next 125. And we worked out that in Next 125 we'd be looking at about £27,000 for the same kind of setup. But in Nobilia we were about at £15,500. So, to recap on that, we're looking at probably 15.5 to 20 to 27 is the same display across the same brands. Yeah. I mean, there are some differences to that. You get, Nobilia and Schuller are quite close, but Next 125 has some set differences, different height plinths, internal colour carcass, colours, it has a few standout differences.
It has the better draw box and things like that. But essentially, yeah, so the same layout. So we're talking almost double for a Next 125.
Yeah, from a Nobilia, yeah. It's but it depends on. I mean, Next 125 is limitless then, because suddenly I flick that into a real ceramic door with ceramic worktops in from, and suddenly that 27 turned into 37 grand. It's then where you start to go up, when you start using the really designer parts and the really expensive.
You wouldn't design the same kitchen in the Next 125.
That's right. Yeah.
You were using Next 125. That's the difference, isn't it? So have you got some favourite projects you want to share with us, Ryan?
Yeah, I'll just show you one now, which is I'm just going to pick one, I think, to be honest with you, and show you this. We worked really hard on this kitchen to get it through, because it was a youngish couple who've got a astonishing house that they've created. I mean, this is a 2-bed bungalow in a really nice part of Sheffield, like one of the most exclusive parts of Sheffield. The couple are early 30s, and you ought to see the level of detail they've gone to on, like, the roof lights are 5 meters by 2.5 meters, and there's 2 of them that are on there's 2 of these huge roof lights that are frameless and they've just got glass downstands in them and everything.
Wow.
But I particularly enjoyed working on this design because we've got a huge kitchen to deal with. You can see the
room. Really is.
I mean, to give you an idea, this cabinet, which is your oven housing cabinet, that's a -3 height kitchen already. So that's a 2.3 meter high just to the top of the oven housing that I've got highlighted there. So then we've then got top boxes on top of it. So we're at 2.65 high. But yeah, I mean, it works really hard at this with this customer to get it to a point. Now, for me, going back through, and we're talking about prices and brands, we settled on Nobilia in the end because it suited the budget. And even then we had to work quite hard to get it through. And I quite enjoy working on these kind of jobs with a customer, where the customer wants your kitchen. The budget doesn't necessarily mean that they can have it. And you've got to work hard together to achieve it. And there's this real sense of achievement at the end of it. This sold out with wine cooler, downdraft hob. It's got top of the range Siemens appliances, one with steam and other, the studio line 5-year warranty on it, sink, cooker tap. This sold out to the customer at £23,000.
Wow.
Now, I don't know what you think about that, but to me, that doesn't look like a £23,000 kitchen.
No way. That is fantastic for that figure. That is just phenomenal.
Yeah. And it was exciting because we got it there. You know, this is in black anti-fingerprint technology on it. It's got the lighting built into the handrail. It's, you know, breakfast bar, but, you know, being clever with it. And we do a lot of this. 16 laminate worktops.
Yeah, I think that's one of the big things that helps you get the budget down, is using a laminate worktop, which a lot of people still recoil at the mention of the word laminate. But there's some fantastic laminate worktops on the market today, especially German laminates.
Yeah. Well, I truly believe that if we'd have put quartz onto this job, we'd have spoilt the job. If you look at the design, we've got the wood framing that goes right round the sink area. So it goes up the sides, along the top, and along the laminate work surface, all in the same wood. We've got then an upstand that's at the back of it, which just comes up to protect the sink area. And then what's in behind there that's a mirror. So you can't really see it on this low quality render, but it's got a mirror in behind there.
Yeah.
So it gives you a real depth, almost like this is a window to the kitchen. So gives you a real depth to shine back. It doesn't make you feel like when you stood at your sink, you're going to be like claustrophobic, which is why we broke up this open shelved units that's there as well, to take the mirror up the back of it. But yeah, I mean, if this island, for me, I always look at that and say that's a block of concrete. What colour is a block of concrete? It's the same colour on the inside as it is on the left-hand side, the right-hand side, the top and the bottom. So if you're going to design a concrete worktop, a concrete kitchen, put a concrete worktop on it. Put the same colour finish on it, because that's what concrete would be. And I truly believe that if we'd have put a different colour quartz worktop on that, and then looked at the effect it'd have had on the breakfast bar and everything, the design would have been lost.
Yeah, I think that laminate worktops are way too underrated. When it comes to German design, but there's nothing like that with British design whatsoever. You can't buy that over here, and this is where people have the theory in their head for laminates being bad.
I think when you mention laminates, people do think of their granny's worktops that are worn out. The print was worn off.
Yeah, but going on to that, Andy, though, right? Going on to that, right? We go into a kitchen, measuring a kitchen up. Yeah, okay. So what we're looking at worktops, and the customers so often say, "Oh no, we're going to have granite this time, or quartz, or solid work surface. We want something that's going to really last this time." And I look down at the worktops and go, "How long's this kitchen been in?"
Yeah.
And they'll go, "I think it's 30 years, because it's been in house since we were in it. 30 years." Okay. And your laminate worktops, right? Are they worn out? And they go, "Well, no." And I went, "What? So next time you want something that's going to last a bit longer?" I'm like, I don't get it. You know, a laminate wears really, really well. And yeah, you take them after 30, 40 years sometimes, and they might have worn through on that patch that you use all the time. But Christ, these things cost £200. You know, in equivalent, what did you expect from them? You know, and the fact that they cost so little, if they did wear out after 15, 20 years, which most people would change a kitchen these days anyway, because times have changed, then change your work surfaces. You know,
I think if you look at a quartz or a granite worktop that's been in 5 or 10 years, it looks a lot worse than a laminate one would. There'll be chips around the sink. There'll be chips on the edges.
That's a big thing with quartz. Misconception that it's bomb-proof means that actually people damage it more. Because they think they can do anything with it. Where if you've got a laminate worktop, they don't go, "Oh, I'll do that to it, or chuck that on it," or I'll, you know, they take a little bit more care. So I tend to see that the laminate work surfaces last longer because of the care that's taken.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Absolutely. And again, it makes so much difference to the budget. I mean, you'd have been talking, you'd have added probably another 4 or 5 grand onto this job if it was in quartz with Decton, a good quality quartz with Decton.
Yeah, and then it wouldn't have sold.
No,
and what the customer would have done is gone and bought a Howden's or a Wicks or a Wren kitchen to get it in at £23,000 with a quartz top, and end up having, in their perception, a harder wearing, more premium quartz top that would have probably been a very cheap version of it, and then an absolute pile of junk kitchen that would have not suited this display. You know, what they've ended up with is something that will last them for 20 years and stand the test of time and look a million miles different to how the kitchen would have ever looked if it had been like a lower end entry level kitchen.
What was your client's brief on this kitchen? What was the most important thing to them? Is it entertaining, or is it, do they do a lot of cooking?
The problem is, it was quite open, really. It's a huge space. So when you actually look at it, the brief is almost like to make good of the space. They do entertain. They're a young couple. They've actually got a baby on the way, actually. It is, and that comes with this kitchen will be going in, and the baby will be arriving, I'm guessing, within a month or so when it actually lands. So, yeah, it was about making a kitchen statement in here that is capable of sitting in this room. And when you realise that what they've done to the glass roofs and things like that, and the fact that this window there that looks like it's looking out onto St Ives or something, but that runs right through to the hallway on an open plan staircase. It needed something in here that would not look inferior to the space that it sat within. That was, I think, the main brief. And then obviously there's the shopping list, you know, the wine cooler that seems to arrive on everyone's early shopping list these days.
Especially after lockdown, everybody wants somewhere to store more alcohol.
Have you thought about
house? The wine doesn't stay in the house long enough to chill.
Have you thought about appliances? Yeah, I want a wine cooler. No, like ovens.
Yeah.
How do you cook your food?
It's on everybody.
But I think, you've done a fantastic job there, right? I think it looks great. The colours are amazing. I really think it really fills that space, because it is that's the thing with a big room. You've got to fill the space, but you can't go overboard, because obviously the more units you put in, the price goes up. But I think you've done a good job of filling the space there and keeping to the budget. I think it was great. Yeah,
we drew one. In fact, just bear with me a little bit, just to see what this. So this one's the one that we designed only yesterday, and the customer just like, yeah, we're having it. Done. I didn't expect it to look anything like that. Wow. But this is just a huge space. It's a huge space, and the biggest hurdle I've got is when you've got a 7.5 meter wall on this back end, and the customer's criteria was that she wanted the kitchen coming round the kitchen sink, along the back wall, and then into this area where the American fridge freezer was. And unfortunately, to run a kitchen round and not break it up at any point would have just looked daft. So the main criteria was to try and break off an area that we could actually split the kitchen. So what if you look there, we've got plastered bulkheads. So we've created a separation in not only in the cabinetry, but also in the colours. Yeah. But again, I mean, that kitchen there, Nobilia, supply, it's got everything on it, built-in underlighting into it. We've got, in this area, we've got like breakfast station and coffee station all built in. So we've built all these, which will be getting built up on site. So that we're creating like a bar and a coffee station, breakfast station, everything all in there. That's a 30 grand kitchen.
Mm.
A lot for that money. So lot of product there. That's really good.
So how have you done those breakfast stations?
So all we do with those, Andy, is we basically buy 2 doors there. So these are just on normal hinges. Yeah. We then create a 1200 or 1000, however wide they are, drawer pack at the bottom. Put a worktop on inside. The 2 panels left and right of it go right to floor, and then we create then some panels sat on the inside, set back by the 22mm door line to hold the hinges, which, as you can see is this panel here that I'm showing there. Back panel on it, and then a couple of shelves with lights in them. Yeah. So top panel, obviously, all screwed together. So basically, drawer pack, top panel up here, tall panels going all the way up back side, another panel inside there, another panel inside there, back panel, then just put your doors swinging on outside of it. That
worktop is set back to those inside panels.
That's it. Yeah. So just set back. That's it. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. So a bit fiddly on site.
One thing that we do get asked for a lot, I don't know about you, but is the whole sort of the breakfast station, the pantry, the butler's pantry, which is not, Germans just, that they don't do it. It's a very British thing, but we do get asked to incorporate it into our kitchens quite a lot. So
we find that when people are asking for that satisfies. We build lots of those in. They're just a pain to fit, because the Germans, I'm not saying they're not set up for doing, they can set up for doing anything, but the whole idea is it's drop and drag of a box, and it's pre-manufactured, and it comes, and it's, you know, they move their kitchens around, as we said earlier. So they're not, you know, their belief is not to bespoke everything, but they give the ability like that we need to be able to bespoke lots of things. And once you understand kitchens, and like, you know, what we were saying earlier again, is when you understand how they fit, this kind of thing's a nothing job to do. You know, it's a couple of doors and panels and everything, and just build it up on site.
We've done pretty much exactly the same setup. We've done exactly the same.
I think another thing is, from a fitter's point of view, is, you know, I've fitted cheap kitchens and I've fitted expensive kitchens, and I think that the cheap entry level British kitchen is, there's one size panel. It doesn't, you know, it turns up on site and the fitter's got to cut it. The trouble is, every time you cut a panel, is you're introducing a surface which water or moisture can get into. Whereas, you know, when we design our German kitchens, we like to make sure that the panels are the right size when they turn up to site, so they don't have to be cut. And that's another huge advantage with the German kitchen over British.
Yeah,
it takes a bit more planning. It's harder for a designer. From a designer's point of view, it's harder to spec, but it makes such a difference, I think.
And there's also, it's a much more ethical way to do things, because there's a lot less waste. So from British kitchens, they send lots of surplus material for you to cut and throw the rest in the skip. But with a German kitchen, literally the only thing that goes in the, well, it doesn't even go in the skip, is the recyclable packaging. So we do a recycle charge for that, and that all gets taken away ethically.